y'all. Some of y'all might find this feeling a little bit familiar because a little over a year ago, I recorded a video in a similar format, just kind of talking out loud, talking about some things I had on my mind, some things I was going through, and a shift that needed to take place in my life. And yeah, it's actually wild to think that it's been a year since that time. And you know, I guess a part of me would hope to be revisiting this, with saying like how much my life has changed for the better since then, and how that realization allowed me to move forward. But that's just not the case, unfortunately. um, I don't know. I think a part of me has felt like a push to come on here and talk a bit more openly about some of these things I've been thinking about, feeling, going through. And a lot of it, it's nothing new. If anything, it's just I have a new understanding around things, or I'm gaining a new understanding around things, and yeah, I feel a little anxious even getting into the motion of this. And I guess on one end, hesitant to record this video, but also it's something that kept itching away at my mind, you know what I'm saying? And you know, it's because it's taboo, and a part of me is maybe trying to dispel the taboo-ness, and maybe it's, there's some idea with radical honesty, like what does it look like if I show up as honest as possible and just lay shit out on the table. You know, a few months ago, I moved into my first apartment, living on my own for the first time, and it was something I was itching for a long time. And through the help of therapy, I was actually able to identify it as something that I really wanted, and realize that it was actually something that I was capable of doing. And I think I put so much emphasis on it that I'm like, yo, once I move, and it's gonna cause even a greater shift, and you know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of momentum behind it, and honestly, I'm super grateful for it, for sure. But it didn't do that. I think I put too much weight on it. And ironically, these past few months, I mean, even before then, I think I've been in probably the worst headspace that I've ever actually been. And it's gotten pretty dark. It's nothing new to me, but it's gotten pretty dark, and that's the point I wanted to talk about, like the radical honesty. And with this new apartment, these past couple months, I've just been hiding and isolating and kind of shutting myself out from the world, withdrawn, and I had to come to terms with that's what I was doing. I was hiding. I wanted to be, I guess, to some degree forgotten about, and just fade to the black. And that's something I struggle with. I was watching this video, this brother, Sal, you know, He's this big dude. I think he was like 600, 700 pounds. He's on a weight loss journey. It's all his content centered around. He's lost a lot of weight. Um, he's made a lot of progress on his journey, and I commend him for that. And also, I relate a lot to what I've heard him talking about. Having been overweight my entire life and struggle with that as well. But I was watching the video and he was talking about that what he was doing. He had moved into a new apartment. He was kind of like wasting away, hiding away from his folks, and that's how he got to where he got. And now he is like, he realized he actually needed people to help him save himself from himself, because if left to his own accord, he would destroy himself. And I thought that was like very honest, very powerful for him to even say that outright. Like, yo, I actually don't trust myself to save myself. And I resonate with that. I resonate with that deeply. And that's when it dawned on me that I was like, yo, I actually am hiding, and this withdrawal is not good. You know what I'm saying? The bed rotting, the doom scrolling, it feels good briefly in the moment. It feels like the only thing I can bring myself to do. But it takes a toll, man. It takes a toll, and that's again, it takes a toll, and I think this struggle I've been dealing with is nothing new. I've been able to name it, I guess, in the past couple years or whatever, but like, to put it plainly, I've been struggling with depression probably most of my life. And it's a ebb and a flow. I think it's always there. Sometimes it's louder, sometimes it's not. I think right now it's really loud. I think right now it's kind of all I think about. I think it's consuming my mind, you feel me? And yeah, maybe it's the loudest it's ever been. And I don't know what that means, I don't know if it gets scarier from here, or it's like a trampoline and sometimes you need to, like, how people say, you know what I'm saying, like, the lower you go, the higher you come up. And maybe it's a matter of what I'm willing to do. And maybe I'm at a crossroads where it's like, either I change, either I do something, or it's, or it gets spooky. And, in part of the hiding, the isolating part, to go back to what I was talking about, it's like, again, what if I just talk about it openly? What if I say, sometimes I don't feel like living, and I think about that a lot, and it ain't nothing new, it isn't, I'm pretty open as far as, I don't get super vulnerable, but I wouldn't hesitate to share this with somebody, but like, I haven't, what I'm saying, let alone just on the internet. I'm like, maybe doing this is some action against the hiding and the not wanting to be seen, and I'm gonna be seen, and throwing that out there. And yeah, I know I'm rambling. I'm kind of in just different places right now. But, I had some thoughts I jotted down and thinking about, because I've been sitting with this for a little while. Um, and fear. I think fear plays a big part in this, because there's an irony in the fact of how much fear shapes my life, but also often I feel like fear is the only thing keeping me alive. I think if it wasn't for fear, maybe I would, you know, I think fear stops me from doing the unthinkable. Um, and there's an irony in that. Because if I could go down the list of how much fear impacts my life, and even more the impacts, I think it informs it from a fear responsibility, fear commitment, fear change, fear vulnerability, fear judgment. It's like fear shows up in so many places in my life, and it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it as the thing holding me back from actually living, but also the thing keeping me alive. And I think there is something there about fear in itself isn't a negative. Maybe there is a level of fear that does need to exist, just like there's a level of shame that needs to exist. But when it consumes you, that's when it gets dark. That's when it gets, because you think about it, you should fear fire to some degree, right? Like fire is hot. The fire will burn you, and there got to be something in your brain, something in your mind, something in your brain that's gonna tell you, don't touch the fire because you're gonna burn yourself. You know, and maybe that's partly like what's happening here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that kind of fear that's keeping me from doing something regrettable, and you know, I don't know. I guess part of myself doesn't even know where I'm going with this video and what talking out loud about is gonna be, but I'm kind of awesome. Like, yo, fuck it. Let's just be honest. Fuck the hiding. It's like, let's be present. Let's address it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think, I was in therapy for maybe a little under a year, and I still am planning to go back. It's just a lot of things I should be doing right now, I haven't been doing right now, because I haven't had the will to bring me to do those things as much as they're necessary. I think part of the thing I was trying to figure out in therapy was like, why, right? I understand I'm feeling this way. I can name it. We've been able to name it. But like, why? Like, how did I end up where I'm at now? And again, it's nothing new. Like, if I were to be honest, it's like I've probably been feeling this way more than I haven't. You know, it's a way up the years of my life. It's like this. It's just partially true. And my memory of my childhood is so, I really don't remember much. And I remember my therapist saying like, yo, that could be some trauma there that I'm repressing, repressing the memory. And I'm like, fuck, because I'm like, if I can never remember, I'll never know. And on the other side of that is like, how much is knowing how I got here going to help me get out, you know? And that's something that I struggle with. It's like, am I asking the right questions? Am I focusing on the right thing, or am I wasting my time? And I don't know. But I am curious, regardless. And a lot of the things that I see in myself now, and I feel it's like I can remember the same when I was younger, right? I feel like there's been a constant, we change and we grow over time, but I still feel like that kid who used to eat lunch alone during high school, at least, for a little while. I still feel like that kid who got picked on when I was younger. I still feel like, my brother's little brother, living in his shadow to some degree. I still, you know what I'm saying? I still feel hurt, man. I still feel that. So it's like, how much have I changed between then and now? I think I've grown a lot more self-aware with time. And maybe that's to a fault. My therapist had pointed out is I over intellectualize my emotions. I'm very heady. I could explain it. I could explain anything, you know what I'm saying? How I understand it, but like I live there. And the homie of mine said like, yeah, you live in the hypothetical, right? And I overthink so much, like I just live in my head. And again, there was a point when I was younger, which was a lot more simpler. I'm not considering all the things that I'm considering now. And I think maybe in some areas fear has dissipated. You know what I'm saying? I'm a lot more social and than I was when I was younger. But maybe fear has grown to other places because of that awareness, because of that understanding. And I don't know. thinking about it now, it's like I know how important it is to like dispel fear from my life, to be able to be more vulnerable, to allow myself to commit for relationships and things of that nature, and be okay with change, not fearing change, and just being more adaptable. I could recognize all that. But if fear is the only thing keeping me alive, what if I lose that? You know? And I know it might be crazy to even say that, but truthfully, I can't find one thing to live for outside of that. You know, I'm not content. I think there was a time I ever was content. And truthfully, you know, back to what I said earlier, I don't trust me to save myself, and honestly, I don't feel like I'm worth saving. And I know it's dark, but it's honest. um, it's honest. And yeah, I don't know where to go from here. You know, we taking it day by day. But a part of me does feel like there's something about being open about it, opening up the conversation, engaging with other people who might feel the same. There might be something in that. I don't, I can't keep hiding. And I want to be more honest. I want to be more vulnerable. Or maybe this is part of that process. Um, yeah, I, if you watch this, you know, I appreciate it. And, you know, if you could resonate, I'm sending you love because I know you need it. But yeah, we'll leave it right there, man.